Most people think the Insidious movies are just about a kid who can travel outside his body. I mean, I used to belong to the same school of thought until I watched the movies, but that's barely scratching the surface. There's a fully built mythology underneath these films, rules, a cosmology, a history, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Insidious Out of the Further releases August 21st, 2026 and expands the Further mythology. Today, we are going through 13 facts about the Insidious universe that most fans have completely missed. And I promise you, by the time we hit fact number 10, you're going to want to rewatch every single film. Fact number 1, the Further is not hell. Let's start with the most misunderstood thing about the entire franchise. The Further is a vast, endless, and empty dimension, which is an important location between heaven, earth, and hell. It is not simply hell. It's closer to a shadowy in-between realm, and the new movie even calls it a purgatorial realm of lost souls. According to Elise, who is our closest thing to an authority in this universe, the Further is a realm that exists between the living world and whatever comes after death. It's a liminal space, a waiting room with no exit for those who can't let go. Some spirits are there voluntarily, some are trapped, and some, like the lipstick-faced demon, treat it like a hunting ground. It's honestly kind of insane. The more you read about it, the more the movies start to make sense. The Further's world building is what ties the franchise together. Fact number 2, astral projection is the core power. Dalton Lambert, the tritagonist of Insidious, isn't haunted. He's an astral projector. The genius of the first film is that the house was never the problem. It was Dalton himself. He'd been wandering the Further in his sleep so long that he got lost. And there are rules to astral projection. They matter very much here. When the soul leaves the body and enters the Further, it becomes visible to every entity in the realm. You're basically walking into a dark forest at night with a flashlight. Every predator now knows exactly where you are. If you want more horror lore breakdowns like this, then hit subscribe. We're pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every new one genuinely helps us make more videos like this. We're pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every new one genuinely helps us keep making more videos like this. Fact number 3, the lipstick-faced demon is based on real-world folklore. So the lipstick-faced demon, you know, the red-faced creature that is rocking Fenty Beauty's uninvited. James Wan and Lee Wannell didn't pull him out of a magical hat. They drew from the concept of incubi, which are demons from medieval European folklore that prey on sleeping humans. Modern media depicts them as sexy, sinister entities, but they went a different route in the movie. What makes him different is that he doesn't just want to harm Dalton. He wants Dalton's body, and not in a fun way either. In this universe, a vacated human body is the ultimate prize, a vessel which the demon can use to interact with the physical world. That's the entire game. Fact number 4, Josh Lambert has been hunted since childhood. Here's where the lore starts to deepen. Josh Lambert isn't a civilian who randomly stumbled into this. He was an astral projector too, as a child, and he was being stalked by the old woman, also known as the Bride in Black, a parasitic spirit who appeared in his photographs, getting closer with each shot. Elise and 2 other parapsychologists had to hypnotically suppress Josh's memories and abilities to protect him because he was astral projecting himself into harm's way. The tragedy of the first film is that this suppression didn't solve anything. It just delayed the inevitable. And the old woman waited. And in chapter 2, we find out she just didn't wait. She got him. Fact number 5, chapter 2 folds back into chapter 1 in real time. This is one of the most underrated structural choices in modern horror. Insidious Chapter 2 isn't just a sequel. It literally rewrites moments from the first film by going back in time within the Further. Josh, now possessed, travels back and we see the events of Chapter 1 from inside the Further's timeline. We realize that the ghostly apparitions Renee saw during the first film were actually Josh, possessed, trying to manipulate the situation. The franchise essentially pulled a Terminator-style loop and made it work in a haunted house context. Which version of Josh Lambert scared you more? The one being chased in Chapter 1 or the one doing the chasing in Chapter 2? Drop it in the comments. Fact number 6. Elise Rainier is the most important character in the entire franchise. People honestly sleep on Elise. Lin Shaye's performance is quiet and warm, which makes it easy to miss just how important her character is to the entire mythology. She is the only person in this universe who fully understands the Further, knows how to navigate it, and has actually survived repeated contact with demonic entities. She dies at the end of Chapter 1, but she continues to appear as a spirit in every single subsequent film. Whether dead or alive, the franchise cannot function without her. In Chapters 3 and 4, the prequels set before her death, we see how she became who she was. Scarred, powerful, and fully aware she was playing against forces she could never fully defeat. Fact number 7, the Red Door isn't an actual location. The Red Door in Chapter 5 introduces a concept the franchise has been quietly building toward. The Red Door that Dalton keeps seeing isn't just a getaway in the Further. It's a scar left on his psyche, a memory. It represents the wall that Elise built inside Josh's mind to suppress his abilities and, by extension, the wall Josh then unknowingly built inside Dalton's. The film presents generational trauma using supernatural logic. The thing we hide to protect our children becomes the thing that eventually destroys them. For a horror franchise built on jump scares, that is a genuinely sophisticated idea. One thing that I never saw coming. Fact number 8, Specs and Tucker are actually more than comic relief. Lee Wannell wrote Specs and Tucker as comic relief, and that's what everyone think of them, so they never think to look past it. But look past the jokes, and they are actually essential to the movies. They document, they record, they provide the technical infrastructure for every investigation. More importantly, in Chapter 3, Tucker is the one who performs CPR on Elise after her near-death confrontation with the man who can't breathe. Specs and Tucker are the reason Elise survived long enough to keep saving people. The comic relief characters are quietly holding everything together. And here's where the lore gets really dark, because what I'm about to tell you changes how the first film ends entirely. Fact number 9. The bride in black is not who you think it is. The bride in black, also the old woman from earlier who turns out to be the entity that finally possesses Josh, is actually Parker Crane, a serial killer whose mother raised him as a girl named Marilyn, psychologically destroying him in the process. His ghost haunts the Further, still bound to his mother's abuse. This is dark, uncomfortable territory for a mainstream horror franchise, and the films don't entirely know what to do with it. Most casual fans or watchers of Insidious don't give it much thought, if we're being completely honest, but the intention is clear. Even the monsters in this universe have origins like they do in the real world. Even the demons who inhabit the Further were once people who existed in real life with their own stories. The Further isn't just a collection of random lost souls. It preserves their history and true identities, forcing the characters, and by extension us, to reckon with them. Fact number 10, the franchise has a hidden time problem. Here's something that bothers fans and me to this day. The timeline doesn't fully add up. Chapters 3 and 4 are prequels set before Chapter 1, but Chapter 3 ends with Specs, Tucker, and Elise forming their team, which means they're new to working together. Yet in Chapter 1, they clearly have an established, comfortable dynamic as if they've been doing this for years. The gap between those two endpoints is never accounted for nor clarified. Chapter 4, The Last Key, tries to fix this somewhat by showing Elise returning to her childhood childhood home, but it's not a proper fix for such a massive glitch. It's the franchise's most persistent internal contradiction, and it suggests the prequels were made without a unified timeline document or added as an afterthought. Fact number 11, James Wan's Further is an actual place. One of the reasons the Further feels genuinely unsettling, especially in the first two films, is that it was built practically. Wan used theatrical fog, dim practical lighting, and physical sets dressed to look decayed. Almost nothing in those sequences is CGI. Wan took a page out of Nolan's book and forewent digital effects, which was honestly a smart idea because digital effects create a visual buffer between the audience and the terror, giving you the impression that it's not real, hence not scary. A practical darkness, a real actor in real makeup standing in a real corridor, that messes with your nervous system. When you watch Dalton and Josh navigate the Further in chapter 1, what you're looking at isn't something that was made using a computer program. It's a real place they actually put people in. Fact number 12, the sound design is immaculate. Joseph Bishara composed the Insidious score and then also played the lipstick-faced demon on set. The man wrote the demon's theme and then wore the demon's makeup. That's a level of commitment that deserves more attention. His score is deliberately designed to make you uncomfortable by incorporating screeching strings and dissonant sounds. But the more subtle genius is in the silence. Wan and Bishara use near total silence before major scares. Your brain, searching for audio information, compensates by going into high alert. By the time the scare hits, you were already terrified of the quiet. That's textbook psychological horror technique executed at the highest level and something not many people catch on the first watch. In fact, it's something Christopher Nolan also used in Oppenheimer during key moments. What do you think is scarier, the jump scares in Insidious or the silence before them? I genuinely want to know. Comment down below. Fact number 13, the franchise isn't finished, and the next chapter changes everything. As of The Red Door in 2023, which Patrick Wilson directed himself, the Lambert family story appears to be closed. Wilson has said it feels like the story is done for Josh and Dalton, but the Insidious universe is far larger than the Lamberts. Blumhouse and Sony have confirmed the franchise continues. The question is, who is next? The mythology is rich enough to support completely new protagonists, meaning new astral projectors, new corners of the Further, new entities with their own histories. The infrastructure Wannell and Wan built in 2010 was always bigger than one family. And if they hand it to the right filmmaker, someone who actually respects the lore, the Insidious universe could have a second act as strong as the first. 13 facts, 5 films, one of the most underrated horror mythologies of the last 20 years. The Insidious universe isn't perfect, the timeline is messy, and chapter 4 is the worst movie out of the 5, but the foundation is genuinely extraordinary. A practical, Further, and astral rule system that actually holds together, a protagonist in Elise who is simultaneously the most powerful and most vulnerable person in every room she walks into, and a demon in a red face who has been standing behind you this entire video. Now, I want to know which of these facts was new to you. Drop it in the comments, and if you want to keep going down the horror rabbit hole, the next video is right here. It's waiting. The next nightmare is waiting. See you there.